Good afternoon and welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Glendale Commission on the Status of Women. Roll call, please.
Chair Lambalot.
Here.
Vice Chair Perrion.
Here.
Commissioner Burns is absent due to an illness, and Commissioner Kojayan is absent due to an illness. Commissioner Magrin.
Here.
Ex officio Petrosian.
Here.
Ex officio Rush.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Powers. Next item, please.
At 1A is a flag salute led by Chair Lambalot.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item, please.
At 1B is a report regarding the posting of the agenda. The agenda for the February 13, 2017 meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside of City Hall on February 10, 2017. And at 2, introductions and presentations. A is a presentation by Taking the Reins, and Dr. Jane Haven, Executive Director, is here on behalf of the organization.
Thank you. You're welcome to come up. I know a little bit about Taking the Reins from Seroptimus International of Glendale, and it's a very interesting organization that pairs girls with animals, horses in particular. And I know I was fascinated to originally hear about it. So thank you so much for coming and telling us about it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. It's really nice to meet all of you today. And yes, I had a great opportunity to receive some support, both financially and emotionally, from the Seroptimus Club of Glendale, which was really a great afternoon of meeting a lot of wonderful people doing a lot of work for women and girls in this area. So it was really nice to be included on that. Taking the Reins is a seed to skillet gardening program, animal science program, and equestrian program for girls. We're the largest gender-specific equestrian program and using horses and farming for youth development in Southern California, and one of the largest equestrian programs for girls in the country. So that's kind of exciting. A lot of times when people think about us, they think, because I think they get more information about handicap or disabled riders and horses and the impact that horses can make on, say, maybe wounded veterans or an autistic child or a child with movement disabilities. We're not any of those things. We are serving girls we're open to every girl in Los Angeles and Glendale and Burbank and the surrounding areas. But our primary focus, 80% or 85% of the girls in our program are growing up in poverty. And so that's our primary focus, is really looking at girls that are coming from families that are making less than $26,000 a year, that have every opportunity in the world to become high-achieving leaders and participants in our greater community if they're just given some access to enrichment, to education, to after-school programming, those types of things. So I know in January in January 2017, I don't know if you all saw it, but the Girl Scouts issued their yearly report that combines the CDC, the Census Bureau, a number of different organizations and data, and they looked at girls living in low income in America. 41% of the girls under the age of 18 in America today are living in low income families. That's defined as a family of 4 under $46,000 a year. So we're addressing poverty in our program because we're really even talking, below the low-income line. But this is a problem throughout our country for girls, and then just all the things that come along with that: early pregnancy, obesity, health issues, school dropouts. Everything that comes along with not having that kind of support. Having 2 parents or 1-parent households where you don't have a parent, they're struggling just to make ends meet. So a lot of these girls coming, as the Girl Scout study showed, coming from these kinds of families are really that traditional old term, latchkey kids. They're going home from school on their own. They're a lot of times they're cooking on their own. A lot of times they're preparing. They're the primary nutrition preparers for themselves and their family. And that's certainly true with our kids that we serve at TTR. So that's why 20 years ago, 19 and a half years ago, we started out as an equestrian program with knowing that horses and the ability to work with a horse, to really have control over a 1,000-pound animal, to accomplish all the things that you have to do with a horse was not only physically challenging, it really gave girls an opportunity to have a lot of physical exercise, but it was also emotionally a connection to an animal that really required a collaborative partnership. Because, you get into a power struggle with a horse, and I'll tell you who's going to win, the horse, every time, no doubt. So horses are very good teachers of how to be a team member, how to work collaboratively, how to achieve goals. If you want to get into competition, how to really practice and work at something and see yourself getting better and better and better, and then being able to go out and show that off to others that share that same kind of interest. And all those elements we capture at Taking the Reins. But we also have this fabulous Seed to Skillet garden program. We're located right on the Glendale, LA border of Atwater Village, between Colorado and Los Feliz, and between Brunswick and the river. We have 2 acres there, and about a quarter of that property is dedicated to our farm. We grow in partnership with an organization called Enrich LA. We grow a full host of vegetables. We have 4 planting seasons a year, and every gardening class includes a tasting and or cooking class, depending on what section you're in. If you're an after-school program or a weekend program, we have more time for our day-long weekend programs and our summer programs than we have our after-school. And I'm going to get into programming a little bit more for you, but I think right now what I'd like to do is give you a little bit of an emotional sense of the kinds of kids that we work with, and then kind of come back and talk to you a bit about our programming and how we work with those girls. So this is a young lady named Alyssa. This was filmed when she was 18. She was graduating our program. She'd been in our program since 6th grade. She's currently going to junior college. And upon her leaving, we asked her if she'd like to reflect on what TTR has done for her and what that experience has been like. And this is her comments. It's a little hard to hear at first, but it gets better.
It's more than a nonprofit. It's a support system, it's a family, it's a place that you can try new things. When I'm here, it's like there's this bubble around it, and anything that has troubled me, it's all gone. To leave my community and to come here, I'm not gonna lie, it makes me feel kind of important, because just to know that I'm putting myself last to spend my weekends to come here and take care of other people and take care of other animals. It just makes me feel great, because I know that no one else in my community would be able to do the work that I do, because I've been trained so well here at Taking the Reins. It's challenged me in so many ways. I don't think I could list them all in all aspects of my life. I think responsibility, teamwork, leadership, and confidence. And all 4 of them kind of link together to build each other up. And it's taught me to be confident enough to go ahead and to the world. I'm going to be 18 soon, and it's the most nerve-wracking thing ever. But because of Taking the Reins, I have the confidence, and I know that everything's going to be fine. Taking the Reins has given me the support system that I need to be where I'm at today. The Taking the Reins has given me the support system that I need to graduate. Ooh, my cry. Taking the Reins has given me the support system that I need to graduate high school, to, get a job, to look forward to things. They've taught me that the glass is always going to be half full, not half empty. When I'm having a terrible day, I come here and I work. I don't even ride, I work, and it's great and it feels good because I'm doing something for someone else. It's beautiful. I hope it touches the lives of so many more people. Nothing can touch this place. It is indestructible. I could never picture myself without taking the reins.
So Alyssa is, this is our website, by the way, if any of you want to go to our website and see her story and a lot of other stories and different things, please do. Alyssa is really representative of the girls that we have that stay with us over a long period of time. We serve almost 400 girls a year, 365 in our core programming right now, and another 127 in 3-day workshops, those kinds of things. Of that, we'll say over 400 girls, about 40% of them end up staying 2 years or longer. Others come for 12 weeks. We run in 6-week sessions, so we certainly have that 15-20% of girls that come for 6 weeks and go, well, this was really interesting. I did something I've never done before. I saw how a chicken lays an egg. I ate a tomato for the first time that I picked. They have that kind of thing. I groomed a horse. But now I'm going to do basketball. Or now I'm going to do, whatever. And then we have a lot that are there for 1 and 2 years. And then we have that 40% that really, this is it. This was the thing, that changed their lives. It's the thing that really moved them on. And that's really why I came to Taking the Reins, to just give you a little bit about myself before I continue on with this. I grew up in an extremely rural community. I call it in the middle of nowhere, Colorado, on a farm, on a ranch. And it was miles down a dirt road for the very next neighbor. And I went to a high school that I was the only girl when I left high school that went on to a 4-year college. I did have an incredibly supportive and loving and well-educated family. My father was the town doctor and the surgeon and the coroner and And so I did have that, and we raised horses. This is as I said to my daughter the other day when I was riding, this is my 56th year of riding horses independently by myself, just heading to those mountains and going on a ride. But when I graduated high school, I was the only girl that went on to college. I was not in a community of friends that did that. I didn't want to go into college. I wasn't my peer group. But I ended up, because of the horses, coming to Cal Poly Pomona and being a rider for the college. I got offers from 3 colleges, scholarships to come and ride competitively for the colleges. And I thought, okay, I could ride horses. I'll go to college. Once you get your foot in the door and you kind of find that out and you get excited about a different kind of educational experience, I went on and got my doctorate and became a clinical psychologist. And I did that for over 30 years in my clinical practice, always working with horses, separate. My professional career was as a clinical psychologist. And I did a lot in that whole career. And I retired a number of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and after over 30 years. And I had been a donor at Taking the Reins, and I had sat on the board for a while because they really needed somebody that understood facility management, barn management, hay purchase, horses, all of that, and they were really struggling having that, and the founder director was stepping down. And so in doing that, I said, I could probably do all of this more effectively, and we could really move this organization to a different place if I became the executive director. And they were looking for one, so I decided to throw my hat in the arena of that search and ended up getting it. And I'm coming up on my 4th year this March. It's been a great retirement gig for me. I've really enjoyed it, working really hard, 7 days a week it seems like. But during that time, it was a real agency choice. Do we sort of stay this small, serving 75 kids a year, maybe, none of them leaving until they chose to leave, or do we change the model of service? Do we make a lot of changes? And the board decided, let's make those changes. So today, we went in 3 years from 75 girls as a typical number that we served to what I said, over 352. We've done that for 2 years in a row now. We have 15 horses now instead of 4. And I changed the model that we have horses that are leased to us instead of purchasing, so they have homes to go home to instead of us retiring them. We're doing all that on the exact same budget that this program ran on for the previous 4 years that I was there. And the way we do that is, before, what I say is, we had people that were shopping at Nordstrom's, and now I go to, like Costco Plus, like it's, I buy hay in bulk, so it just took somebody that really understood the business of ranch and facility management to kind of turn that around. I'm really glad that the board decided to go that way, because it also really helped us get clear about what is our mission. And it's not just empowering a few girls, it's really, I think the motto I like the best is, when you change her life, you change our world. And that is really the core of what Taking the Reins is about today. We max out in our riding program at 400 students, so we're almost maxed out. Just the size of our facility, how many horses we can have, where the budget breaks. To go up another 10 horses, you go up another expense. But now we're doing some collaborative partnerships that are really allowing us to touch more girls in the Los Angeles area. And 2 of those examples are, one, this year we developed a collaborative partnership with Theodore Payne. I don't know if you guys know that organization. No? It's California natives, horticulture and planting. Theodore Payne was here 100 years ago, right on the LA River. His first garden was right where the Costco is in Atwater Village. Now they've been in Sunland for a number of years, but there's a kind of homecoming happening, because now they're on the property of Taking the Reins, and they're teaching our girls, and they're providing internships in horticulture at their site. This summer, I'm going to have 3 girls doing professional internships looking at horticulture as a potential college track and career, and being taught by the instructors by the personnel of Theodore Payne. Another collaborative partnership that we've done is with Enrich LA. They're in over 100 schools in LAUSD. Taking the Reins provides the soil and the composting now for 65 of those schools that have school gardens. We also have the seedling station at our facility, where we're growing all the seedlings to go into the gardens of over 65 schools in LAUSD. Our girls are learning the composting business and the seedling business, and are a part of, that's the way we're giving back to a greater community of teaching gardens and stuff out there. So we have, again, internships for 2 of our girls within Rich LA to look at becoming garden rangers in the UCLA Master Garden Program. So we've kind of expanded beyond the horses. We also have animal husbandry, where we teach about chickens and goats and milking and egg production, all that. It's sort of like a 4-H program for anybody that's ever grown up knowing 4-H. So all of this is to say that our goal here is to bring it back to poverty, is to take these young women that are growing up, 80% of them in poverty, and showing them different pathways to work and employment and education that really embraces something that has captured their spirit and soul. Horses. I went to college on a horseback riding scholarship. We have judging teams. We have girls that are competing. I had a girl this year that finished 2nd in the nation in Tulsa, Oklahoma, with 151 other competitors. She probably was the only one there competing that didn't own her own horse. in a science fair, not in riding, but in equine science, the knowledge of equine science. That's something that we can do with kids that don't own their horse, but it doesn't mean they can't learn the science of that. In the last 2 years, we had 13 graduates. Alyssa was one of them that have graduated our program. All 13 are in colleges. About 5 of them are in junior colleges. The rest are in four-year colleges. We had in the last 2 years, we've had 3 full scholarships to UC Davis, LMU, and Cal State Northridge. Our girls, all but 2, are in the sciences. They're animal science majors, they're biology majors, they're kinesiology majors. One of our equine science class teaches anatomy and physiology of the horse. I have 3 girls that have gone into kinesiology. We have one right now that's at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. She just went this year. She's in her first year there, kinesiology. And she got accepted to the horseback riding team at that school, so she's going to be riding horses there. So it's a way of channeling that science-oriented, hands-on learning in the earth, in the dirt place for those high-achieving girls. But it's also a place like Alyssa. That kid was at our place every single day that she could be there after school. She was in our mentor program. She cleaned our bathrooms for a long time on a student stipend. I have 3 students a year that I pay $7 an hour to as a student stipend. And we have a mentoring program. And I won't go into, if anybody wants to know more, we'll talk later. But our mentors, once you come in, once you show proficiency in teamwork, responsibility, leadership, and self-confidence, you get to apply to be a mentor. And of our mentors, once you've done that and taught other little kids in every component of our program, we then recommend you to become a camp counselor at different barns around the area. This last year, 2016, we had 11 girls employed for for $10 an hour at barns next door as camp counselors once they left our program. So I see us as a work program. I see us as a program that opens up different kinds of opportunities educationally. I see us as a second home for kids that need it. And I have Alyssa's permission to share this with you. Her father is a 3 strikes person serving his life in prison. And her mother has never been out of a rehab facility since she was 6 years old, longer than 8 months at a time. Alyssa needed to be at TTR every day. It's what kept her, and she still comes by. She works next door as a weekend person. She's still working next door and goes to Glendale Community College. And so I just want to leave with the girl that I told you that went all the way to Tulsa on our judging team. And, I'm going to, of course, point out our shining examples here, but there are more than one shining example, I guarantee you. And every kid that comes through here has their spot. Nobody here has to come in and achieve greatness. They can come in, like we said the other day, I was talking to one of my instructors, and it was victory because this was the 4th 6-week session this girl had been there. And for the first time, she actually managed to pick up her grooming kit, which weighs about 1.5 pounds, and remembered it, carried it in, and put it away where it belonged. She actually cleaned her horse's foot without saying, "It's too heavy, I can't do it." And she actually walked her horse, because we have so much rain right now, we're not riding that much, all 6 laps around our property without handing it off to somebody else. And we came in and we said, okay, we knew we were making progress, but we didn't know that it would all arrive on one day. She independently did the whole day. This is a kid with a lot of behavioral issues, just defiant, just says no to everything, to the mother, to her teachers, to her. And before I read Daniel's thing, I do want to, I forgot something here. With our collaborative efforts, the school that we're most involved with right now in Glendale is Roosevelt Middle School. TTR, taking the reins, and Rich L.A. and Theodore Payne are now on site at Roosevelt Middle School. We've served over 100 girls from Roosevelt Middle School. have a very close relationship with Mary Mason. I don't know if any of you know her. We've invited her to be a part of our board, and I think that that's going to be happening. They're doing our pre and post program in the classroom evaluations to see, so we're tracking attendance and grades and all of that at that school and then 2 other high schools I have. But we're coming on that site and we're completely redoing that campus in drought-tolerant native plants with Theodore Payne and planting their vegetable garden within Rich LA. And then Taking the Reins will be their field trip site for their earth science classes and things like that. And we'll be teaching the teachers at my site to go back and take care of their gardens and all of that. So this is our first collaborative that I'm really excited about, that we brought all the elements of our program, and we'll have a little bit of, we'll be doing the animal husbandry piece on our site. So they'll be sending kids to our site to learn animal husbandry. And again, we've already served over 100 girls from that school. So, well, anyway, so to close, here's, when you think about poverty, when you think about the impact that you can have on kids through this kind of program, this is a 11th grade student this year. I asked her if she could write me something to use in a newsletter that I'm going to use. She said, "It's so funny that you ask. I was just writing an essay because I've been asked to apply to a leadership conference at Yale this summer." And she said, "I'm writing about taking the reins and where I learned leadership. They've identified me as a leader at my school and have asked me to do this." So this is Danielle. And I said, "Great, perfect timing. Give me your essay." Here's Danielle's statement. "Coming from a poverty-stricken community, a single parent, a low-income household, I, like many other young girls with the potential to achieve their dreams, have a lot to be thankful for to Taking the Reins. It is in this loving and welcoming old barn that we have been given some of our best memories, lasting friendships, opportunities to grow, and have developed into the young women who may very well become the leaders of tomorrow. I am proud to call myself a 5-year participant and mentor of such a unique and inspiring program. Like I previously mentioned, I came from a broken family that provided me with no one to set an example and was unable to provide me with an opportunity or support that I needed to achieve my dreams. From a young age, I was forced to be independent and to learn from my mistakes as I went along. It is very simple for a young girl who has had to endure suffering from a very early age to give up on herself, to become a victim of violence, of hatred, or of the drugs that surround her. That is the very reason I am beyond grateful for Taking the Reins and everyone here. It has shaped and influenced all aspects of my life. I went from being a reserved, lost, insecure little girl, fearful of the world and the people in it, to a confident, secure young woman who has the values and experiences she needs to pursue her future to the best of her abilities. Had it not been for the guidance, the love that I found in this place that I now call my second home, I would not be looking at my future in such an optimistic way. I aspire to be the first in my family to attend college, to be successful in life, and to give back to the world for making me who I am today. The opportunities that I have been offered have changed my entire outlook on life and will continue to impact me in the years to come. Taking the Reins has introduced me to a world that I would otherwise be unable to experience. I have become the youth vice director of the Arabian Horse Association. I have traveled to Oklahoma and competed at a national level in judging. I've traveled to New Mexico and competed in hippology, the study of all things equine. I've acquired my first paying job with connections that were provided to me by the program. It is through Taking the Reins that I first saw how massive the world is and how full of chances it is, which in turn has opened my eyes. I can proudly say that I have taken the reins and that I control my future. I am currently applying to programs that will help me with my college application process, and I'm honored to be able to incorporate the experiences, lessons, and connections which only taking the reins has given to me in this process. It is because of taking the reins that I can openly acknowledge how far I have come. I no longer feel like an outcast, different from those around me. I no longer feel lost and alone. I have where I belong. I have found it. I have found the place where I can be myself without fear, without judgment, without being labeled. The beautiful old barn where uniqueness is welcomed and no one is invisible. With amazing, understanding people who have taught me to welcome change, to be open-minded, to be proud of who I am, to remain humble, and most importantly, to work hard for the bright future that lies ahead of me. Love this kid.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Well, congratulations on everything you've accomplished. It's an amazing organization.
Thank you.
And does anybody have any questions for Dr. Haven?
I do. So for Roosevelt Middle School, how often do you...
I apologize. How often do you attend, and is it during lunchtime? And I work with Dr. Mason, so I can get that information, but since we're here, I would like to know.
How often does Taking the Reins go there?
Correct. And how do we engage students in the program?
We take, right now we're serving 10 students at a time, and we transport them, so we pick them up after school, and we take them back, and it's a 3-hour program. On some days, when the weather changes and we can stay out a little bit later, we serve 20 students at a time from them. Because they're so close, we can do 2 van pickups. So we do 10 in our garden program after school and 10 in our equestrian program after school. And then of the kids that we see there, after they've come to us 2 6-week sessions, any of those girls are invited to come into our weekend program. And we probably have about 15 girls that have continued on from their exposure and middle school that are now high school students but are still coming.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Vivica?
Hi. So do you have any collaborative relationships with any of the high schools in GUSD, like Hoover High School, for example? I go to Hoover.
To Hoover?
Yeah.
We don't. We have with Camino Nuevo.
Okay.
They have 2 campuses. We have both of those. We have Bishop Conate, which is a Catholic school that serves our population of girls. Are our 3 high schools right now that we serve. We have 1 high school per day of the week and 1 junior high, so we mix it up. So Hoover we haven't, but we have served Hoover in the past.
Would you be interested in serving Hoover again or in another collaborative relationship?
Absolutely. Okay. However, at this point, it's transportation.
Okay.
And so it would be if they could transport, but it would also be the type of thing. We serve a lot of different schools on like a 3-day work thing, or when we're out of the school session and we go into our summer camp sessions, we do 5 2-week sessions of every day.
Okay.
And we have 3 tracks. So it's 30 kids, and they rotate through. One's in the garden, one's in the horses, one's in science. They rotate through. We serve homeless shelters, foster youth, police activities leagues, girls from Boys and Girls Clubs, Girl Scouts, and other schools. So that would be something that Hoover might say, we have 10 girls that really want to be a part of this. Could they be a part of a 2-week summer program?
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And you can be contacted via the website, right?
Via the website.
Okay. Great. Sure.
I just think it's really beautiful how you use horses and science to bring out the inner strength in almost all the underprivileged girls. So I'd just like to say thank you for expanding the program and allowing more girls to have the opportunity to achieve their goals.
Oh, you're welcome. And I want to invite all of you and anyone listening to please come and visit us. The second Saturday of every month, we have an open house tour. And you can see the kids and the horses and the animals all in action. We also have a beautiful garden site for hosting any kind of, small event that you might want to do. If you wanted to have a meeting or something, one of our dreams is in probably 2018. With our 20th year, we want to host a girls' state and really have a number of different speakers come and a number of different things, and really have our property. And I'd love to work with this commission in terms of really helping us promote. We're talking probably several hundred girls. We have been in touch with Mayor Garcetti's office. They're very interested. It would be wonderful to have, and Sheila Kuehl's office, it'd be wonderful to have Glendale and Burbank also be a part of that. And
Great. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Haven, for coming.
Thank
very,
you.
Very interesting. And you provided us with information, too.
I did. That's sort of the who, what, where, when, and how sheet, and our brochure. And feel free to contact me at any time if you need anything else. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next item is 3, oral comment. Discussion is limited to items not a part of this agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. The commission may question or respond to the speaker, but there will be no debate or discussion. Staff may refer the matter to the proper department for investigation and report. And at this time, Chair Lambelat, we have no cards submitted.
Okay. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, please.
At 4 is consent items. A is approval of the minutes of the regular commission meeting held on November 14th, 2016.
We need a motion.
I'll approve the minutes.
I second it. We need a roll call.
We need a second first, Chair Lambelat.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Magrin?
Here.
We're approving the minutes, so I think you just want to say if it's appropriate or not, so yes or no response.
Yes, it's approved.
Commissioner Perrin?
Approve.
Chair Lambelat?
Approved.
Thank you. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. At 5 is our business agenda. A is action items. 1 is consideration and discussion of a partnership with Seroptis International of Glendale for the Dream It, Be It event. And at A is a motion providing direction regarding this event. Would you care for a brief report, Chair?
Yes, please.
So the Commission on the Status of Women has been approached by Seroptimus International of Glendale to be a partner in their Dream It, Be It. It's a one-day workshop for girls that is similar to Camp Rosie. This would be a workshop for middle and high school aged girls on Saturday, May 2017 in Glendale. And it is a Dream It, Be It is a program of the Seroptimus International of the Americas. The program is designed specifically for girls in secondary school from low-income families and provides participants with guidance and support as they participate in sessions that explore self-empowerment, health and wellness, creative expression, and financial literacy. The objective of this day is to present information and tools to help empower these young women to reach their full potential. The girls would have the opportunity to work closely with Seroptis members and anyone else who's partnering and providing the sessions for that day as role models and advisors. Seroptimist is looking to secure a location for this event and would like to partner with the Commission and hold the event at Spar Heights Community Center, which is located up in the 91208 part of the city. Should the Commission partner with Seroptimist, the facility costs would be waived for use of the building. There are no activities regularly scheduled on Saturdays, so that would not conflict with any existing uses of the building. And Seroptimist is also asking the Commission to consider partnering on this event by contributing $500 in addition to the in-kind support by the city facility. And any hard costs associated with staffing the location on the day would be absorbed by the city, not by the Commission and not by Seroptimist. This partnership on this event does work towards fulfilling the Commission's strategic goals as outlined in their report. And that concludes my report. If there's any questions, and I'd like to point out that Margot Botcher and Jackie Hawley from Seroptimist are both here to provide any additional information they'd wish to provide or just simply answer questions.
Hello, Margot and Jackie. How are you? Would you like to come up and speak with us for a few minutes? Tell us about the Dream It, Be It program.
Good evening, I'm Jacqueline Hawley. I'm President-elect of Seroptimus International of Glendale. Margot has very kindly put me in this position, so hoping I'll be able to answer your questions.
Well, we've gotten the report, so I would just like to make a comment, and then we'll open it for discussion, that one of the Commission's goals for many years, or mandates that they mandated themselves, was to the operation of Camp Rosie, which is no longer possible because the Commission doesn't do programming anymore. So given that this program does fulfill one of our strategic goals, and that is to do something similar to Camp Rosie or hold a Camp Rosie, I think it's a great endeavor, something that's worthwhile partnering with. And my understanding is, or at least in the planning phases, is that maybe some of the same curriculum as Camp Rosie would be used, some of the same speakers, so there would be some similarities, if not some actual overlap. Anybody have any questions?
In developing that thought, I would just like to say this is our first event of this type, and we do hope to develop it as time goes on, but we initially are starting fairly simply, but yes, indeed, we are asking some of the same presenters to come and work on this first one.
And also, I understand, since if the Commission approves one of the motions to partner with Seroptimus of Glendale on this project, that the name of the Commission would be associated with the event on materials, possibly on bags or something like that we would give out. So it would also give the Commission on the Status of Women some exposure in the community. Anybody have any questions?
I actually do have a question. Thank you for being here. And so question is, how many students do you think that we are planning on serving, and what are the hours? We were thinking about Saturday, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
A Saturday.
For this initial event, if we're able to secure the Spa Heights Community Centre venue, we are thinking we'd be able to accommodate 75 students across the grades of 7th through 12th, and they would be split into groups. So 7th, 8th is one group, 9th, 10th is one group, and 11th, 12th is the third group. The workshops would be geared specifically to those age groups. Each workshop will be run 3 times through the day, so each group will be able to attend the workshops. And there was another part of that question.
And how are we selecting, how's the invitation, how are we selecting the 75 students to participate?
Well, we're going to approach the school counsellors from the junior high and high schools in the area to ask them to identify girls who might benefit from this program. We're also going to invite girls from Girls on the Run, Taking the Reins, Hillsides, Dee Dee Hirsch, and possibly there will be other agencies but we will be sending invitations for them to submit the names of girls who might well attend.
Hi, thank you for coming. I have a question. Is this a program that's already implemented in other cities, or this would be the first pilot, so to speak?
Not at all. It is implemented in many other cities throughout the country, and it's actually a global program. But it's the first time we will be doing it here in Glendale.
And this would be a once-a-year event? I'm seeing that
this is the plan. It's to be a once-a-year event, which is a conference style. And we have to see how this particular event goes to learn lessons and see how we would develop it in the future.
And for how many years has this been going on across all the other cities?
I have to ask Margot if she has the answer to that. Do you know? 3 years.
3 years. Okay. Thank you.
And Ms. Powers, it's our understanding is it that Spar Heights is available on the desired date?
Yes, it is.
Any other questions? Okay, then do we have a motion?
Thank you. I motion to approve this.
We've got the various alternatives. One is support the event by making a contribution not to exceed $500 in kind support. Two is some other contribution amount, same other terms. Only providing in-kind support is alternative 3. 4 is to not partner with Seroptimus for this event. And anything 5 is any other alternative we hadn't discussed.
I would motion for alternative 1.
Which is supporting this event by making a contribution not to exceed $500 and provide in-kind support as described in the report.
Correct.
And we need a second to that motion.
I second it.
Just for point of reference, if you intend to make a second motion, you need to pass the gavel. So generally the seconds come from other members of the commission.
Okay.
But you're certainly welcome to pass the gavel to do that unless Commissioner Mangum wants to second.
I'll second that.
Thank you. So
If there's,
Roll call, please.
I was going to say, if there's unanimous consensus, we don't have to do a roll call vote each time. So if there are no objections and there's unanimous consent, then we will consider the motion passed. So,
yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. Motion.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
At 2 is consideration and discussion of the Commission on the Status of Women's legislative agenda, and at A is a motion providing direction regarding the list of bills presented. And I'd be happy to provide a brief report on this item.
Yes,
Commissioner
please.
Lambalot? Sure. So this report provides the Commission with a quarterly legislative update of the bills being tracked based on the Commission's adopted legislative platform. The bills presented in this report are new bills that were introduced by legislators in the new session that convened in December 2016. And the deadline to introduce new bills on both sides of the House is February 17th, so it's later on this week. So at the next quarterly meeting, we anticipate having more bills to present to you. So this is just a limited number. The first one is AB 9, and that is sales and use taxes exemption for sanitary napkins, tampons, menstrual sponges, and menstrual cups. This is Assemblymember Garcia's second attempt at this bill. If you recall, the Commission and the City of Glendale had last year supported AB 1561, which was essentially this identical bill to exempt feminine hygiene products from sales taxes. And that did make it through both sides of the House, but did get vetoed by the governor. The governor just took a hard line on any sort of tax exemptions last year. So this is her attempt to basically provide to have feminine hygiene products and exempt them from sales and use tax at both the state and local level. And if this passes, it would go into effect January 1st, 2018. And staff does recommend supporting this bill based on the platform of the Commission. Assembly Bill 10 is feminine hygiene products, adequate supply, school and college bathrooms and shelters. And this is another bill by Assemblymember Garcia. It kind of goes hand in hand with her AB 9, and it provides menstrual pads for free in schools, universities, and shelters, as these products are medical necessities for women and girls. And her intent is to not have girls miss school due to lack of access to feminine hygiene products. So this would require them at public and private institutions, at secondary school and post-secondary schools, as well as emergency housing shelters and domestic violence shelters to provide adequate supplies of these. And again, staff recommends supporting this bill. Next is House Resolution 9. This is also by Assemblymember Garcia. This is a House resolution asking the legislator to join the California Commission on the Status of Women and Girls to mark March 2017 as Women's History Month. And staff recommends supporting this bill. And last, we have Senate Bill 169. This is by Senate Member Jackson, Discrimination Federal Title IX. This is an intent bill, and that just means it's a placeholder that the legislator puts in and will later come back with a detailed language for this bill. But essentially, this is to enact legislation that codifies the protections and requirements enshrined in Title IX in order to ensure every student can pursue an education in a non-hostile, safe, and harmonious environment. The bill would provide clarifying guidance of the United States Department of Education Office for Civil Rights, providing that all forms of student-on-student sexual violence, including rape, sexual assault, sexual battery, and sexual coercion, are considered sexual harassment. And staff recommend supporting this bill, but of course, we will come back with more information as it's inserted into the bill. And that concludes the report, if there's any questions.
Does anyone have any questions?
Just to clarify, so this would go to City Council as recommendations for them to support these bills as part of their next legislative update that they get from the City of Glendale. And then those would, once those are approved, if they're approved, then the assembly members would get letters of support, in this case, on behalf of the City of Glendale and the Commission on the Status of Women regarding these bills.
Understood. Thank you.
So clarification on the AB 10, if I'm understanding correctly, this would put free feminine needs items in all schools and all universities?
Yes. Private and public is my understanding, yes.
And is there an assessment as far as the tax increase or what this would, the impact would be?
I don't believe that they did an assessment. I think they just acknowledged that this would impose fees on the schools, but I don't believe.
Yeah, is there an assessment on that?
Of an estimate?
No, yes.
Not that I'm aware of, but staff can certainly check in with the Assembly Member's office and see if they've done that, or maybe Board of Equalization has that information, and we can get that out to you if it's available.
Yeah, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
So we need a motion at this point?
Yes, please, Chair Lambelat. Now, if there's any of these you want to hold off on to get more information before taking action, you can. We don't have to approve them all, but you're certainly welcome to at this time.
Commissioner Perriand, did you want to comment on that?
I would like to hold personally for the AB 10 to get additional details on that.
Okay.
Do you then have a motion for the balance of the items that were read?
I would support the rest of them.
Okay, so we've got a motion. Now we're looking for a second.
A second.
Okay, and would you like to take a roll call, or would you agree to?
I agree.
To unanimous consent, seeing no objection, the motion will pass with that particular item being held until our next meeting.
Thank you very much.
Next item, please.
At 3 is an update regarding ad hoc committees to support the 2015-18 Commission on the Status of Women Strategic Plan. And at A is a motion providing direction on ad hoc committees. This item has simply been placed on the agenda to allow the commissioners to provide updates on the various ad hocs of the commission, and no formal action is required or being asked of the commission at this time, but it is simply listed as an action item should the commission wish to make any changes to the actual structure of the ad hoc committees themselves.
As far as reports, would anyone like to report from their ad hoc committees? You want to go first?
Actually, it's not right now for the ad hoc committee. Were you talking about the reception? Okay. All right. Commissioner Magran and myself have discussed the topic of having a reception here in the City Hall lobby for the presentation of the report.
I'm sorry, just go ahead.
I'm sorry, what is it?
No, you're good.
Okay. And we have decided that it is, we are going to forego that option and propose that we have commissioners recommend other organizations that they may be involved with or prefer, and to see if we can have the presentation of the report in those organizations.
And Commissioner Perry, you're talking about the Mount St. Mary's report on
Correct, the Mount St. Mary's
status
report.
of women and girls in Glendale. Great.
That's it for now. And then I can also comment on the ad hoc committee with Commissioner Linda Burns. We do continue to consider additional organizations that may benefit from hearing about the report, the Mount St. Mary's report. And that's it.
Okay, it's my turn. So I will present about the Ad Hoc Committee for Education and Outreach. Myself, along with Commissioner Kajayan, met, and we discussed and want to present some ideas about some speakers, possibly in the month of May, August, and November coming up. So we thought about Peace Over Violence organization to discuss about their services that they provide to our community and the projects that they're currently working on. So August, we thought about bringing Glendale Police Department and also the YWCA to discuss about domestic violence, the issues that we have in the community, and again, the services that they provide. In the month of November, we thought about LA County Office of Women's Health to discuss services that they offer to our women that are health-related, and what's the importance and what is it that we need to know and inform our community. So I just wanted to present that. That was discussed, and we'll open it to discussion. And also, I wanted to mention, another thing that we discussed was how we can move forward with recognizing women in our community. Just similar to the Jules nomination recognition that we had in the past, I understand that we don't have the luncheon, but we thought maybe we could provide application process honoring an organization or honoring some women to open the application process. Nothing has been discussed, but those are just thoughts and that we thought we'd share with you, and we can bring it back to on our agenda for next time.
Thank you. Lena or Vivica, did you want to comment on anything?
For recognizing women in Glendale, so I understand that we can't do it as a commission, but that we can do it through other organizations. Would it be possible to organize like a scholarship through a different organization to recognize young girls or women at least?
Scholarship. I mean, I
or
think
anything, just any sort of recognition for activities in the community. It doesn't have to be a monetary scholarship.
My understanding is that if we open it for an application process, then anybody can submit their application or submit somebody's name for recognition, and then we'll have to go through a pool process probably and interview. I'm not quite sure. Again, we wanted to open it to discussion how we want to move forward. I'm not quite sure how it was done previous years, but we can open that.
Thank you.
Ms. Powers, do you have anything you want to add here, or should we just discuss it among ourselves?
Welcome to provide your feedback as far as a scholarship goes. The Commission did provide a scholarship, and the Commission is currently trying to transfer all its funds to the Community Foundation of the Verdugos. The Community Foundations of the Verdugos has informed us that in order to provide scholarships through an endowed fund, there would have to be a separate scholarships fund set up, and that would require a lot of money, I believe $25,000. So at this point, it seems like it's not conducive for the Commission to continue providing scholarships, but certainly recognition is something that can be explored, and so some ideas and feedback would be welcome now so that staff and the ad hoc members can provide a report to you, kind of formalizing the process and having everyone agree on the process, so then we can move forward and figure out a way to do this if the Commission wants to do this.
Okay, I had a couple of questions then. I assume we could do, assuming the Commission wants to, small monetary grants like we've done the last two meetings, rather than a scholarship, or is that
To organizations?
yes? Well, to individuals, is that would that be considered a scholarship, or
Yes.
Okay, so we could not do that then without.
I mean, that would either involve
Okay.
keeping money here at the city of Glendale and setting aside for that. But as staff, I would advise
Right.
moving away from those kind of individual donations and maybe focusing more on community partnerships with established organizations, as the commission has been doing for the last, year or so.
And I think personally that getting more exposure for the commission out in the community is a really great thing. We're going to get a report shortly on the screening of the Sold movie, but our name was out there. We co-sponsored it, and I would like to encourage Lena and Vivica too to think about over the next quarter how we might think about an event we could do at school as far as presenting the report, or having somebody come and talk about the commission at a club, having them come and attend a meeting. I think that you guys have are in a unique position to be part of the commission, and we have our quarterly meetings, but we want to get, I think, out there in the community as much as we can. And I would also encourage everybody to try to have the ad hoc committee meetings once a month, because that's really where the ideas come from and the work comes from. And from that, we can have agenda items put on the agenda and then actually, be able to vote on it and take action.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see. I'll talk to my principal and see when the best time is. But as far as the recognizing women, I have a question about how that selection process works. How are women chosen to be recognized by the commission?
Well, I think that's one of the things that we'd have to work out. Ms. Powers, could you comment on that, given what you've done in the past?
Or, in the past, the commission, when having the Jules Luncheon, would have an application and would open up a nomination period. So members of the community were invited to nominate other members. I don't believe the commission ever received an application from someone submitting their own name. And then there was a selection committee that was established at a commission meeting, similar to an ad hoc that you would have, and it would consist of 2 commissioners, and that would allow those 2 commissioners to meet here at City Hall and review the applications and discuss the various merits of each application, and then come back to the commission and report on which members were selected. This allows for that to not occur at a regular commission meeting and allows that to happen off-site. And that seemed to work for many, many years for the commission. And then those individuals were honored at the Jules Luncheon, which was a fundraiser essentially for the commission. And they were given not a monetary award, but they were given like a statue and a commendation from the city of Glendale, along with certificates of recognition from various elected officials representing the region. So I think the question would be, you can follow that similar model, but what would the recognition entail, and how and where, and that kind of thing. So that's what can be explored.
I think when I said scholarship, I meant more recognition. But for example, they have the Hoover annual awards night for seniors. So if you wanted to recognize young girls, I think that would be a great place to do it and give them a statue and then have the commission's name attached to it, because you can give an award to any senior, and you can maybe have the principal or the counselor nominate young women, and they could submit an application, for example.
And when is this event?
It's at the end of the year. This year, I think it's in May or April. But I can get back to you on that.
Okay, great. Excellent idea.
Please send information to staff, and we'll be happy to look at that. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Next item, please.
Okay. At B, reports information only. 1 is an update on human trafficking awareness event. Would you like a brief report on this one, Chair Lynch?
Yes, please.
So the Commission partnered with Sir Optimist International of Glendale to host a human trafficking awareness event on the evening of Friday, January 20th at Brand Library and Art Gallery. And the event included a wine and cheese reception, a screening of the film Sold. It was a free screening, so there was no money being taken at the door. And then there was a Q&A afterwards with Nancy Jordan, who's the Director of Development from the Coalition to Abolish Slavery and Trafficking, known as CAST. And what was nice was Ms. Jordan was there at the beginning of the event and took in donations from anyone who wanted to provide a donation to CAST. And so she was able to raise over $500 for CAST, which is great, and then was able to engage and answer questions after the event too. And it was well attended. It was a rainy, cold day as far as Glendale, Los Angeles standards go, and we had over 60 people in attendance. So it was a great reception. And the final cost for the commission for this event was right under $215 after splitting the cost to acquire the film, which the commission has retained a copy because there's 2 DVDs that were sent out. So the commission retains a copy of the film and for a few of the refreshments. So, and that concludes my report.
Great. Thank you. Any questions, discussion? I think several people on the commission attended. And my recollection was that I think 60 people signed in, but maybe not everybody signed in. So there may have been a little bit more than 60. And the venue held 100. So that really, I think, was very well attended, especially since that morning it seemed like we were going to all float away. And thank you, Ms. Powers. Next item, please.
At 6 is Commissioner and staff comments.
Anybody have any comments? Okay, I have a few. First of all, we touched on this, Commissioner Perrion touched on this, but I think as far as the Mount St. Mary's report, the data is still relevant, and I think will be for several years, but as, as the time goes by, I think the perception is that it's a little bit dated. I wouldn't say it's there yet, but I think, the more we can get that out into the community, the better. We had talked about possibly at the schools. I know I've met some people recently at events, and I've sent them the electronic copy of the report, which is on the website. And we've gotten some interest in presentations. So I think it would be useful if everybody could think of one organization or one group. It doesn't have to be, a big organization, a group that would welcome a presentation on the report. We have, I think, a couple versions of the slide. One is only 15 or 20 minutes, right, Ms. Powers?
Yes.
So it doesn't have to be a full evening event or afternoon event. And if it's a club meeting, for instance, you would have time to still have a meeting, but that would be part of it. I also met a professor an instructor at GCC at the Youth and Leadership Conference who I talked to and sent a report. She may be interested in having us present it to the class. So I think, it's useful to continue to talk about it, and people seem interested, and it's always, a bit of a struggle to actually get them, to that point. But I think it behooves us to try, given that we've got that report, and it's a real, valuable piece of information and not available anywhere else. Another comment I had, and again, excuse me, Commissioner Perrion, I wanted to touch on this. Would like to see if the commission would be in agreement that we could have staff explore some sort of drive that would benefit women or girls, maybe a clothing drive. We talked about possibly Dress for Success, but there are other organizations out there. And the idea would be to give staff some ideas so that staff could come up with an actual agenda item we could vote on next time. I believe that, like, one suggestion would be a drive where at city facilities like City Hall, we could have a bin or, I guess send out an email or something asking for donations. And we would make sure our name is attached to it. If we had bins to collect, gloves or socks or whatever, we would make sure that our name was on it. And again, the community would know that we're active and doing something. Is that, did you have anything more to add on that, Ms. Powers? Any thoughts or questions on that idea?
So if you'd like that item to return, we just need to hear from other commissioners whether or not that's something that you'd like staff to explore.
I would like that.
Okay.
Okay, and the, I believe, final comment I wanted to make was I understand that both Vivica and Lena have mayor's commendations for their participation in the Student Ambassador Program. And I think there was an event that you weren't able to attend, but your commendations are here, so they're ready for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And staff just has a brief announcement on behalf of San Gabriel Valley Habitat for Humanity. Elaine Wilkerson asked that we share. She couldn't be here today. She sent her apologies. But from May 11 to 13, and this is also an invitation to the commission, Habitat for Humanity will be having a women build. And this is an event, it's going to be at the Desiderio building site. It's in Pasadena. It's just south of the Colorado Bridge. But this is to bring women out and have them spend a weekend, and you get a little bit of training and work on helping build housing for families, affordable housing for families. And this is happening in May, but then in the summertime, there's going to be one, and the city of Glendale is running these PSAs that in Glendale we're going to be having Lomita homes, and so San Gabriel Valley is asking that we not only donate, the community donate things, but there will be a Women's Build Day in Glendale. So the Pasadena one is kind of like a sneak peek of what's to come at Glendale. So everyone's welcome, and just contact San Gabriel Valley Habitat for Humanity to get more information, or contact our office at 818-548-4844 for more information. Also provided for you, I don't have it up on the screen, but is the Habitat Restore. This is here in Glendale at Broadway and San Fernando. These are donations. People can make donations of housing, supplies, and equipment to there, and it's tax deductible if you have anything left over. And also it's a store, so people can go in and buy at low cost items to help finish up projects around the house, and all that money goes back to Habitat for Humanity. And they take donated lightly used construction materials and household goods, including furniture. And so that concludes my announcement.
Great. Thank you. Any questions or comments on that?
I do. Ms. Powers, so May 11th to 13th, if we pick and choose a day, or do we have to be there all 3 days? That's the question.
I don't believe you have to be there all 3 days. I'm sure it's a day and afternoon session. I think that's fairly reasonable.
Perfect.
But
Okay.
yes, please let me know if you're interested. Not now, but you can let me know via email if you're interested, and we can put you in touch with Habitat for Humanity. And if you have you want to get any groups together and do this together, that would also be fun.
Thank you. No other comments or questions? I'll ask for a motion of adjournment.
I motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Meeting adjourned at, I can't quite say that, 6:48 p.m.